I needed the money tomorrow. My father's voice was cold, sharp. You're handing over your sister's debt, he said. $950,000. No delays. I smiled. Okay, I said. For hours later I was at the airport. When they came to my apartment to collect the money, all they found was a closed door. A single box sat in the middle of the floor. They opened it, and the screaming started. The word okay lingered in the air long after they left, tasting like ash in my mouth. My father thought he'd won. Maria looked relieved. They saw compliance. They didn't see the calculation. Because you have to understand, the Hayes Gallery wasn't just a business. It was my father's monument to himself, built on my mother's legacy. And in that monument there were two roles. Maria, the golden child, dazzling, creative, the public face who charmed collectors and artists. She was the star. Me, the invisible fixer, accountant, logistics manager, the silent brain in the back office making sure the star actually had a stage to stand on. I remember the spring exhibition 2 years ago. Maria, radiant in silver, champagne popping, laughter everywhere. Everyone praised her brilliance. No one noticed me at 11 p.m., transferring $20,000 from my own account to cover the catering bill she forgot. Or the frantic 3 a.m. call from a Paris gallery, because Maria had damaged a sculpture and failed to file insurance. $45,000 gone. My money. Just fix it, Abby, she whispered. I always did. I always fixed everything. I was the reliable one. The one who balanced Connor's chaotic books, covered auction failures, managed shipping manifests. Invisible. Essential. Forgotten the moment the spotlight hit Maria. I was tired. For years I asked myself, why do I do this? Why accept a role I never chose? It's a concept psychologists call the golden child/black sheep dynamic. Maria, brilliant, fragile, celebrated. Me, strong, capable, invisible. The one who could bear the weight so the golden child didn't have to. I was trapped in a prison without bars, the invisible chain of the survivor. You get so used to navigating dysfunction, so used to being the fixer, that you start to believe fixing their problems is your only value. You keep paying, keep sacrificing, not because you're weak, but because their survival has been trained to depend on you. And then came the call that changed everything. Mark, Maria, it's not just debt, Abby, my father said, voice dropping to that low, urgent tone used when moving millions. The centerpiece. I froze. He meant the Ehlers painting. A massive museum-quality piece on consignment. It wasn't ours to sell. It was our reputation. They thought they could leverage it. Maria whispered through tears, finally genuine. He lost it. The owner found out. There would be lawsuits, press, public humiliation. The Hayes Gallery, 70 years of legacy, teetered on the edge. 24 hours, Mark said. Come up with $950,000 or he ruins us. He didn't mean the money. He meant the name. The legacy. Your investments. Liquidate your portfolio. Fix it. They weren't just asking for my savings anymore. They were demanding my future. They wanted me to burn myself alive to save them. Maria was sobbing. Mark's jaw was set, expecting. And in that moment, the invisible chains finally became visible. I felt calm. Cold. Clear. Okay, I said. My okay wasn't for them. It was a contract with myself. I walked out of the office with the weight of their expectations pressing on me. Maria was still crying. Mark was already on his phone, probably arranging the wire transfer I was never going to make. They didn't notice the look in my eyes. The calm before a storm. I went home to my apartment, the one they didn't know existed. They thought I was just their accountant, their fixer. They didn't know I had spent years quietly building a fortress around myself just in case. You can spend your life managing the chaos of entitled people. Or you can learn how to turn their chaos into your leverage. I had been doing both without them realizing it. At 5 p.m. I called my lawyer. Elizabeth, I said. It's time. Execute the transfers. She didn't ask questions. She knew exactly what that meant. For the past 3 years, every time I bailed Maria out, every time I covered Mark's mistakes, I hadn't just given them money. I had them sign legal paperwork they never read. Transferring ownership of gallery assets into my private holding company. I wasn't just their fixer. I was their primary creditor. The collateral? The entire core inventory of the Hayes Gallery. All those unsellable modern pieces in the vault? They weren't unsellable. They were mine. I packed the box, not just receipts but the entire history of their deceit. I called it the ledger. Inside I placed the real accounting books showing my personal funds covering payroll for 6 of the last 12 months. The $45,000 I paid for the Paris sculpture Maria damaged. Official deeds for the 17 most valuable paintings in the vault, all legally and quietly transferred to me. These documents proved one simple truth. The Hayes Gallery was a hollow shell, and I was holding its soul. Then I added the final twist. A personal check for $100,000, the exact sum my father had borrowed from my mother's trust fund 20 years ago, the money he never repaid. The original sin. The first debt. I sealed the box, booked a one-way flight to Santa Fe, leaving in 4 hours. One suitcase. Apartment key on the counter. I drove to the gallery one last time. It was dark. I placed the ledger on the cold stone steps, right where Mark would find it when he came to collect a check I would never write. Then I walked away. The flight to Santa Fe felt like leaving a lifetime behind. Sunrise painted the desert sky in pinks and oranges. Air crisp. Clean. No ghosts. No expectations. Just silence. I found a small adobe rental. Sat on the patio with coffee, watching the city wake up. 2,000 meters away from Chicago. Finally completely alone. At 12:01 p.m. Chicago time my phone rang. Mark. I let it ring twice. Took a slow sip of coffee. Then answered. Where is the money, Abigail? Panic, raw and unfiltered. No command. No entitlement. Good afternoon, Dad, I said, calm as the desert air. He sputtered. No, don't you? Check the front porch of the gallery, I said. There's a box. You should open it. I hung up. I didn't need to see it. I could picture everything perfectly. The confusion. The rage. The disbelief. The box ripped open. Expecting an apology. Finding the truth. 10 minutes. That's all it took. 10 minutes for reality to sink in. He'd see the check for $100,000 first. Confused. Then the note. Reimbursement for the initial loan from Mom's trust. We're even. Then the ledger. Page after page. My money covering their extravagance, payroll, shipping, Maria's trips, failed auctions. The deeds. The 17 most valuable paintings, Ehlers, Frankenthaler, Twimley, all legally mine. The 70-year legacy of the Hayes Gallery? A hollow shell. The walls? I own them. And then came Maria's call. A shriek. Raw animal, terrified. Abby, what did you do? The owner is threatening police. Dad won't move. I smiled. Sipped coffee. I fixed it, I said. The part that was broken. What about the $950,000? She sobbed. I guess you'll have to sell your penthouse, I said. And I hung up. I blocked their numbers. Weeks passed. The chaos in Chicago was now just distant echoes. The chaos I left behind in Chicago didn't touch me. I watched it unfold like a storm on the horizon. From a distance, untouched, untouchable. I walked through the Santa Fe desert, the air crisp, empty, clean. For the first time in years, I wasn't managing anyone else's mess. No gallery crises. No stolen payments. No broken auctions. Only silence. I started sketching again, something I hadn't done since before my mother passed. Simple lines, quiet shapes, just me and the pencil. And for the first time it felt like freedom. Weeks later the phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Curiosity won. Abby, a voice said. It was my father. But the command, the anger gone. Empty. Broken. Hi, Dad, I said calmly. There was a long pause. Then a shaky breath. I'm calling from a payphone. They took my cards, the house. I stayed silent. When I opened that box, he whispered, voice hollow. After I got past the anger, I saw the check. The $100,000. I'd forgotten I even took that from her. From your mother. I said nothing, just let the truth hang. I told myself I was building something for all of us. But I wasn't. I was building it for me, using her money and then yours, he admitted. He paused. The gallery, the name, all built on a lie. And you were the only one paying the interest. I closed my eyes. The desert sun dipped behind the mountains, a single streak of orange left in the sky. I'm sorry, Abigail, he said, voice cracking. I was the problem. Not you. Always me. I know, Dad, I said. Me too. We hung up. And I finally let the tears I didn't know I was holding fall. People talk about family as if it's an unbreakable bond. They talk about blood being thicker than water. But no one tells you what happens when the blood is toxic. The guilt of surviving while others flounder. The pain of finally choosing yourself over them. I had to let go of the family I wanted to face the family I had. Not their savior. Not their accountant. Not their enemy. Just me. I opened a small consultancy in Santa Fe. A one-woman operation helping local artists navigate the business side of the art world. How to price their work, how to manage inventory, how to protect themselves. I wasn't building an empire. I was helping people build futures. Months later, a text from an unknown number. A photo of Maria in a barista uniform, holding a latte with messy foam art. Caption. My first one. It's ugly, but I made it myself. For the first time I smiled. Texted back. It's a start. And just like that I realized freedom doesn't mean revenge. It means walking away from what breaks you and finding peace on your own terms. If Abigail's story resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. Tell me what you would do if you were in her shoes. Because sometimes the bravest act isn't fighting them, it's finally freeing yourself.